Welcome back to another episode of the Movie Podium, a weekly podcast where we collectively choose a movie to watch, and at the end of the week, we get together and talk about it. It's kind of like a book club.
But for movies.
It's for movies.
But for movies.
But for movies.
We also came up with a set of questions to ask ourselves, such as, is this a podium movie or a top three in the year of its respective release? This week, we have one that is near and dear to our hearts, and without further ado, we present our next movie.
We're sending you back to the future!
All right, Daniel. Hit it.
It's a weird movie with mom and dad, or mom and son dichotomy. Freud would love it. Oh, yeah.
That's why Kevin doesn't like this movie. So we're doing a little differently, guys. Cheers.
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 So I'm your host, Matt Scott, and I'm here with my dudes, Eric.
Hello, Matt.
Dave.
Hey, Matt.
Daniel.
Heyo.
And
My wife.
producer Kelly.
Yay.
So if you listened last week, I mentioned that
Listen. My wife.
producer Kelly and I share the same birthday. So we let her pick the movie this week, and she went with a household podium movie and maybe one of the movie podiums movie as well. Daniel and I actually went to a theater and watched all three in a row, and they did that on the special of October 21st, 2015. For those who don't know, that's the future date that they go to. So Kelly picked this, as I mentioned. Kelly, why do you think this is one of our favorites or your favorites? And why did you pick this one?
I just like time travel movies in general, and then I think this is the first movie that we mutually agreed on that it was one of our favorite. Like when we first started dating, we were just like, oh yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. So we've, I said we probably watch it a couple times a year, at least. So it's just kind of been with us the whole time we've been together. So.
For sure. And you even got me this shirt.
I did.
And hopefully we can all go see the musical here, in July?
Yeah.
There's a musical?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not know that?
No.
It's coming to Playhouse.
Someone might have told me, but it's nothing lives up there for long.
Yeah, it's coming to Playhouse in July.
Except for that Parasite.
Yes.
So we are all going to have to go see that. All right. Well, before we get into it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We are very close to 1,000, so if you could help us get there, that'd be awesome.
World domination at 1,000.
That's right. It's only up from there. You guys ready for some random ass facts?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
All right. So there's a lot to uncover here. And since we're all nerds on this one, it's going to be hard to stump anyone, I think. Kelly has a few that I'm not sure I had heard, so that'll be fun. And I'll just kind of cover some of the lore, since some of the stumping, as I mentioned, is going to be hard. First, though, this got an 8.5 on IMDb.
Ooh.
Is that higher than Thor?
It's very
way
higher
than Thor.
Yeah, very much so.
That's almost
60
John higher than Thor.
So first I'm going to jump into Michael J. Fox. Did anybody know that he was not the original actor? Did anybody not know that, I guess? So he was not the original actor for this.
They have a whole bunch of test footage, right?
They do. So when they first thought of this movie, he was the one that Robert Zemeckis, the director of this movie, wanted. However, he was too busy filming Family Ties. And so instead, they had a bunch of people audition. They had John Cusack, Johnny Depp. They had a whole list of people.
All the Johns.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, exactly. And they ended up going with a non-John, Eric Stoltz. And they actually did film a lot of this movie, or a decent amount, with him in it. But they just thought it was too depressing and too sad, and this was a comedy, and he really was too serious. He wasn't physically funny. He wasn't any kind of funny. I mean, he was just very serious, they said.
Damn,
they also,
dude, you're ripping on him.
Well, apparently, I mean, if you got fired from Back to the Future,
yeah,
I think something's up. So that kind of sucked for him.
Yeah,
not to be a part of such a blockbuster. Once they found out that Michael J. Fox was now available, they ended up cutting Eric Stoltz, and for $10 million signed Michael J. Fox. And as we know, thank God.
Yeah.
Now, there are a few scenes that they kept with Stoltz in it. One being when he punched, or when Marty punches Biff.
Really?
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanted somebody to kind of be similar in size to Biff, which is funny because they ended up going with Michael J. Fox, who's like 5'5". Another cool fact that you may or may not know is that this movie was rejected over 40 times before it was actually greenlit or made.
Really?
Yeah, 40 times. So the original idea happened when Bob Gale, who's also a co-writer with Zemeckis, were hanging out, and they were looking at an old yearbook of Bob Gale's dad. And the idea was that, what would it be like to meet your dad? Would you be his friend as a high schooler? And so obviously we see that theme with Marty and George. And I thought that was kind of cool how that came about. So anyways, it took multiple rewrites. Does anybody know what the original time machine was? Kelly, don't answer. Daniel.
Wasn't it a fridge?
It was a fridge. Kelly, tell us why they didn't want to use a fridge.
They didn't want kids to lock themselves in refrigerators.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Crazy.
So let's
right?
get kids to hijack DeLorean.
I know, right? Also, I think that people who were, making this or going to pay for this movie thought a fridge was kind of lame.
Yeah, the car is way cooler.
Oh, yeah.
Hot tub time machine.
You can't even drive a fridge up to 88 miles an hour.
Right. How are you going to time travel? One of the most memorable scenes in this movie, obviously, is when Michael J. Fox plays Johnny B. Goode. Did you know that they actually were going to cut that scene, but when they had test audiences come in and watch the movie, they asked what their favorite part of the movie was, and of course, probably 90% of them said the Johnny B. Goode scene.
Yeah. It's such a good scene.
Yeah, what in the world?
It's
like, how could you not?
I didn't say it was the best one.
We'll find out.
I said it was a good one.
Without talking about the Oscars would be kind of sad, because this is a huge movie in terms of not just blockbuster, but in film lore. I mean, this is, one of the greatest movies of all time for a lot of people. This won one Oscar, being Best Original Sound, which makes sense. But I think it got robbed in a couple of them. One being Huey Lewis did not win for A Power of Love.
Yeah,
that's A Power of Love.
That is a travesty.
And who won? It was Lionel Richie's very less memorable Say You, Say Me in the movie White Nights.
Oh, yeah. I know that song.
You can't give that to The Power of Love? Come on. And somehow, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale did not win for Best Original Screenplay, losing to Witness. So Witness is fine, but get the hell out of here for not giving it to our boys. This is one of the most original screenplays of all time, and it's also one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. If you can combine those without any based on a comic, novel, true story, this is an original idea of all time, and you're not going to give it to them. I think this is a level one tragedy, level one Oscar tragedy. So
I would agree.
Yeah. Huey Lewis had a cameo in this. Do you guys know when?
Was he the person with the megaphone?
Wow. The teachers.
Yeah, okay,
Exactly.
that was him. I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is, yeah, exactly. Which is funny because he wrote the song that they played. It was just Power of Love in a different arrangement.
Yeah.
And then last one before I hand it over to Kelly for a couple additional one. So when they originally made this movie, the ending was actually more of a joke than it was an actual lead to a sequel. So they actually inserted into the end of the VHS, but omitted from the DVD release, the to be continued part. So the cliffhanger of the film of that was obviously, as I mentioned, not planned. And they even said that if they were to plan for the sequels, they would have not had Jennifer get into the car, which is why Jennifer was almost immediately knocked unconscious. So Kelly, I know that you have a couple other facts, and some of these I didn't know. So why don't you give us a few?
Yeah, I just have two. So the sign at the mall, like where in the parking lot where everything takes place, originally it's called Twin Pines. And then when they go back, it's called Lone Pine because when Marty first drives through, he knocks down one of the pine trees that it's named after. Because Peabody breeds pine trees.
Yeah. And
so when he drives through, that's Peabody's farm, which eventually becomes the parking lot. He knocks down one of the trees. So it's now called Lone Pine when he goes back to 1985.
Nice.
You killed my pine.
And then the other one was at the end in movies, I was talking to Matt about this, like when there's like a bomb about to go off or something's happening and it's 10 seconds, it's not actually 10 seconds. It's much longer. So for this, from the time that Marty meets up with Doc before the lightning strike, which was at 9:56 p.m., to the time the lightning actually hits, 10:04 p.m., is the real time in the movie. So you're actually watching it as it's happening, and it's the exact length that it takes to happen.
Whoa, that's cool.
I didn't know that.
So it's actually,
I didn't know that.
It's about 9.5 minutes.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one I did not know. I thought
I have
it was
one.
awesome. All right, let's hear it, Daniel.
Hit us, Daniel.
So you know how it was 1.21 gigawatts that they needed, and the only power source to do that is a bolt of lightning?
Yeah.
Well, in the original draft, they had him driving into a nuclear explosion from a nuclear bomb test to get the power needed to travel back to 19.
I did hear that.
hell?
Yep. That is wild.
Yeah, probably good that they changed that one too.
These aren't
Yep.
facts, but I have some observations.
We don't want to hear your observations, Dave.
Well, fine. Then I won't do them.
No, I'm just kidding. Tell us.
In the opening scene, all of Doc's clocks, one of the clocks that you see is there's somebody hanging onto the hands of the clock. So that kind of gives you the
Foreshadowing.
indication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doc lives right next to Burger King. Whenever Marty leaves, he immediately goes right past a Burger King to get to school whenever he's late, leading me to believe that Doc lives right next to Burger King. And then last but not least, it never rains in California, and it rains at least like 2 or 3 times in this movie in California. That's it.
That's a good one. I mean, there's so many good ones in there. I really like that one, Kelly, the time one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That one's
that's
cool.
really awesome.
I didn't know that one before.
Yeah, that is cool.
And there's so many little things. I mean, like Ronald Reagan. What did you say? Ronald Reagan actually liked this movie?
Mm-hmm. They said he thought it was really funny.
Nice.
Yeah, he had them rewind the film a couple of times for the Ronald Reagan, the actor.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, let's get into some questions, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. First question we've got. Favorite thing about the movie? All right, Daniel. What's the favorite part about this movie?
My favorite part about this movie is that nothing in this movie is for no reason. Like, everything in this movie has a reason. From Jailbird Joey to get used to these bars, kid. From from the plutonium theft on the news at the beginning of the movie to the clocks all being, 5 minutes slow or whatever Doc did at the beginning of the movie. Like, to the Lone Pines thing. Everything talked about has a payoff in some way. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the tightest movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, nothing's wasted. It's a joke. It's a joke to be paid off later. It's a plot point to be paid off later. It's just a detail that you notice later. It's just such a tight movie.
Dave, what was your favorite thing?
Just the idea of time travel and the way that this movie has, like, that it stood the test of time to be a cult classic for us.
Yep. As
well as, like, for 1985 when the movie came out. Yeah, it's a iconic movie. That was like, a big part of my childhood.
I would go further than cult classic, buddy. I think this is just a straight up classic.
For sure.
I just feel like if you asked a kid today if he knows what Back to the Future is, that he's not going to know what Back to the Future is. Unless he had a parent show it to them.
Yeah. That's fair.
But even then, like a teenager, like I'm sure like teenagers like right now they probably have saw it like whenever they were kids or whatever, but it's not something that like that stuck with them. I don't feel like.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I don't necessarily disagree. Just because you don't see it like you do Star Wars in front of everybody now. Mm-hmm. So I see what you're saying a little bit.
Yeah.
We showed it to our kids obviously, and they loved it. But I get your point. Eric, what was your favorite thing?
I just said that it's freaking awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I had.
It really is. Kelly, what was your favorite thing?
Kind of the same thing. Just the time travel aspect of it and all the like little details that changed from like the things that he changed. They had to make sure that everything was changed. Like I think I read that when Doc was on the clock tower, when he broke a piece off of the clock tower, when they go back, you can see a piece off.
Holy!
So like one of those little details, like if it wasn't there, like it wouldn't. Yeah.
Crazy.
They covered all their bases.
That's absurd.
Which is
that
awesome.
is a Zemeckis thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So Zemeckis also did Forrest Gump, so you can see where the detail comes in, right? Those big adventures, the big stories. My favorite thing is pretty much what you guys said. Not going to sugarcoat it. It's time traveling and the theme of time traveling. Before any, theory of relativity by Einstein readings or any other of these movies that I had seen that I fell in love with from time travel, this was obviously the first one that introduced that theme and that idea to me. I didn't know what it was before this, and for a long time I thought it was driving a car 88 miles an hour. So thanks for putting that in my head. Einstein didn't really agree with that. But like some of my favorite movies are time travel movies, like Interstellar, Donnie Darko, some of these. And so, that was my thing. Yeah, Daniel?
What's funny is I don't enjoy time travel. I don't like it in comics. I don't like it in media because it's so hard to do correctly. It's so hard to do in an interesting way. And this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Still.
Yeah.
Like its crux is time travel. And that just shows you how good of a movie it is, how smart they were with their rules of time travel and everything like that. Like it's just absolutely, to me, it's a flawless movie. And it's so hard to do that, especially with something like time travel. Because time travel, you have to be consistent with your rules. You have to, it's just incredible what they were able to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think part of it is the less you explain and the more the less details you get into, and the less bogged down it gets. Like, hey, I invented a time machine out of using a flux capacitor into a DeLorean, and you go a certain mile an hour. That's it. I mean, there's not like how I designed the flux capacitor, why I chose a DeLorean. None of that matters. And I think when you are just told this is the way it is, it just makes everything easier to enjoy, right? All right, next category. Least favorite part about the movie. Kelly, what was your least favorite thing?
That they don't recognize him at the end.
I know. Yep, that's
true.
I would recognize people from high school.
Yeah, especially when
they know him.
They're as memorable as being on stage playing Johnny Be Good, and
and she was so infatuated with him. Like, like, whoa, right, I remember you. Like, yeah.
Sure.
And you'd think that there'd definitely be some cameras taking pictures at the dance, and like in the yearbook, it'd have like Marty ripping up the stage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Most likely to invent rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so my least favorite thing then is Jennifer herself. She doesn't add any value, and she just kind of follows Marty along. Even lets him stare at some girls' asses and then like just says, hey, look at me. So I really don't understand her being in the movie at all, honestly, and other than being the end and pushing the sequels. But as we know that actually wasn't even the case. They didn't have any plan for sequels at the time. Daniel, what was your least favorite thing?
This movie is perfect. I have no notes.
Nice. Dave?
I just have I hate the way Biff's buddy laughs, the one with the 3D glasses, who wears 3D glasses, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. What are you wearing 3D glasses for? You're not helping yourself. All right, Daniel, why is he wearing 3D glasses?
Is it for the next movie?
It was the 50s, baby. That was the fashion.
What does that mean? That's stupid fashion.
He's wearing a life preserver.
Was that the guy from the Titanic? Was that the one that's from the Titanic?
Is it him?
Billy Zane. Yeah, Billy Zane's one of them. I can't remember if he's the one with the glasses.
All right. Well, I didn't like the way his buddy laughs. It annoyed me.
It might be Billy Zane.
Yeah. And Dave, you're right. It is stupid. But there were definitely kids walking around with friggin' 3D glasses.
They were
in the 50s.
He wears them all the time.
Yeah. Eric, what was your least favorite thing?
My least favorite thing was the fact that Doc could have tested the DeLorean by just putting the watch or the clock in the car and not having Einstein possibly get lost in fucking time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What, Daniel? What?
He'd already done tests with clocks. That's why all the clocks in his workshop are 25 minutes slow.
Is that why?
He had to test that a living creature could survive traveling through time. He should have used a rat, not Einstein. I'll give you that. Yeah. But he had to test that a living creature.
That's why all those clocks are in there? We were trying to figure out why all those clocks were in there.
He's been
that
testing.
Makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, he's been testing, and that's why they're all 25 minutes slow, because he's been testing them by sending them through time.
Okay, I admit defeat. This movie is perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you, Daniel.
No, Kelly still had a valid point. They would recognize their hand.
Yes, they would.
I do believe that. All right, well, this movie is pretty amazing. Damn perfect. All right, next category we've got who won the movie?
Who won?
Daniel, you've earned first here. Who won
Robert
the movie?
Zemeckis and Bob Gale. Bob Gale? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they persevered through no. They made a family movie that isn't too stupid. Like, family movies often are bad. Mm-hmm. But they were able to make a family movie that is really, really good. They bucked the trend in the 80s of comedies being like Porky's or Heather's or Animal House.
Super horny, super... Yeah.
Super raunchy, super, you know, they were able to, and this movie legitimately is funny in some parts. Like, there's a lot of comedy to be had in this, but it's also like a great story. You get, you know, and like I said, they got it so tight by being denied so many times that by the time they got the movie to actually be made, they had a script, an out of the park script. And then they were able to cast it well and, you know, all that stuff. But, like, they won because they were able to create this movie even when no one wanted to make it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Eric, who won the movie for you?
Who won the movie for me was George McFly, because he got the girl, and he learned how to not be a wimp and deal with confrontation. And at the end, he's not picked on.
Nice. Good answer. I didn't even think of that. Kelly, who won the movie for you?
I said Doc, just because none of it would have happened without him. So he did that. His invention worked, and just if he didn't do that, nothing. It would have just been a flop.
Kelly, that's who I picked. I also picked Doc Brown because he invented something that worked. He finally invented something that worked.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Nice. I said Michael J. Fox / Marty McFly won this movie. So we all had somebody in the movie or written. I think we all had different answers, which is cool. So he got to go back in time and then saved his own life, which is kind of crazy. Bigger picture wise, without Michael J. Fox in this movie, it's not the same movie. I mean, he is, as Daniel said, this movie's perfect. He is perfect in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a better duo than him and Doc or Christopher Lloyd in this. But Marty does such... What?
They've got to be the inspiration for Rick and Morty, right?
Oh, 100%. I don't know if they are.
Like, watching this movie again after watching as much Rick and Morty as I've watched, I'm just like, what?
Duh.
This is this is exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, without him and having somebody like Eric Stoltz in this, and I just like one other thing about Michael J. Fox that I don't think a lot of people give credit to is his physical comedy or his physical prowess. Now, he is 5'5", but the way he rides the skateboard, the way he's able to slide over the hood, the things that he does that are really look athletic. I mean, he looks athletic in Teen Wolf as well. So he has some kind of presence that I don't think a lot of actors back then, maybe like a Tom Cruise, would have had back then. So, like, I thought that was awesome.
No stunt doubles?
I don't think so, Daniel.
He may have had some stunt doubles for some of the stuff, but he, like, trained. Like, that's something that he did, like, for 3, like, he took horseback riding lessons, and for, like, he learned to skate. Like,
the third one.
Yeah, but like he did, you know, I'm sure there were stunt doubles in the more dangerous stuff, like the over the car scene or whatever. But
yeah, sure.
But like he legitimately also did like train to be able to do stuff and make it look good.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's exactly why I was so impressed with that. And he also actually can play guitar.
And funny you mention guitar because I have a top 5. My first top 5.
Oh, no. Nice.
It's top 5 guitar scenes in movies. Okay, so outside looking in. The first outside looking in is Mad Max. The guitar flame dude.
Yes.
Bungeed to a truck full of speakers. with a double neck fire spitting guitar.
Bro, that guy ripped.
Yeah, that guy is awesome. The next outside looking in I have is That Thing You Do at the talent show, when the song gets started off a lot faster than they had meant to play it.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's too fast, guys. Slow down. Come on. Slow down.
And it changed the whole vibe. So number 5 is Scott Pilgrim, the bass battle scene, where Scott is battling the guy who plays Superman. Scott, it's a Rickenbacker 4003 versus a Fender Mustang, which is a short scale bass.
Ooh,
that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Back to the Future, Johnny B. Good.
Nice.
And
Watch me for the changes and try and keep
Marty is playing a red ES345 from Gibson. And the ES345 was not invented until 1959. So it could not have been played in 1955. Number 3 is Ralph Macchio and Steve Vai in the 1986 movie Crossroads. That's based largely on the Robert Johnson lore about selling his soul to the devil. It's a kid studying classical guitar, leaves school to make a deal with the devil, where he has to beat Steve Vai at the end of the movie in a guitar shred battle. Number 2 is Spinal Tap. And I have two.
Yes.
I have two moments. One, the first one that I thought of was when Nigel is playing the guitar with a violin, and then stops to tune the violin. And then my other one is when the bass player gets stuck in the pod when they're playing the song, and he's playing like so going through the whole song, and he can't get out, and then at the end he gets out, but then the other people are going in their pods and he can't get back in.
Nice.
And then number 1 is The Wedding Singer, Somebody Kill Me. And it's when he's just sitting there playing the song solo. It's
nice.
It's an ES335 again. I like those guitars. It's right there. And it's just it's a hilarious and catchy and that is my top 5.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and think about some of mine on that. That's awesome.
I get to make a top 5 intro for myself.
Oh, I bet it has guitars. Next category, we've got favorite song moment or score scene.
Mr. Sandman. Whenever Marty first gets into Hill Valley and Mr. Sandman is playing in the background.
Yeah.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a drink.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
That is great because it's like, welcome to 1955, slap!
Yep.
I would just walk around the house fucking singing that song after watching that movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the actress who, I can't remember her name right now, who played Lorraine, she said that's how she
Leah
got.
Thompson.
Yeah, that was her inspiration for her younger voice. Or
really?
The 1955 Lorraine.
Okay.
The really whispery,
yeah.
Because if you notice, she's like, Marty, like that kind of like.
Yeah.
Do it for us.
That's very interesting music.
Nice. Daniel?
It's not going to be Power of Love for me. It's going to be Back in Time.
Nice.
And specifically, I love the scene where Marty's splayed out, sleeping, and his radio is playing Back in Time.
So good. All right, Eric. What do you got?
I have... Sorry, let me see. Okay, guys, this is Blues Riff in B. Watch me for the changes and try to keep up.
This is favorite line, not favorite. This is favorite song, not favorite line.
I already said that it was in my top 5, so it's Johnny B. Good.
Nice.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
It's so good.
You like it?
Yeah, I
Got a
did.
burp for you.
Thanks,
It's such
Dave.
a good scene.
Yeah, it is.
Kelly, what'd you say?
I just said anytime the theme music plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so
Yeah.
many times it plays, and there's like so many different variations of it
Yeah.
Yeah.
that, and like it's just epic anytime it plays. Like it just gives you the feels.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
It's funny because I have a similar answer, actually. I didn't also go with Power of Love. And I think Johnny B. Good could be the answer there, too. But I actually went with a score scene. And it's kind of what you mentioned, the chills that you get. And I went off of feel. So I actually went with when you find out that Doc is still alive. And that, like, the subtle sounds, the, like, little tings, and then it builds in to the theme song.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get much better. Like,
It's like the
Cohen
little
was like,
chimes.
is he alive? Yeah, the chimes. Like, that score scene, that moment was so big. It's so good. And so that was, and it all ties into the theme song and the theme, like Kelly mentioned. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. It's not John Williams or Danny Elfman, but it's still incredible.
Yeah.
Pause for a second.
Yeah,
Press pause. So none of us chose Power of Love. That's
yeah.
surprising.
I mean, you could pick it, but
Yeah.
there's so much. I was gonna joke. I was gonna do Earth Angel.
That's such a good one too.
It is good. I love that song. But but then when that happened, I was like, oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Or like the like chime, like I don't know if it's the same thing you're talking about, but
sorry.
like the when something changes, it's
That's
like
the chime.
yeah.
That's it.
What?
I can't even do it. It's too
We'll
high
find-
for me to. Yeah, it's too high for me to do.
Yeah.
Chimes is a good way to put it because it's really high.
Just like John.
All right.
I will
next
never not
category.
take that joke.
Yeah, oh, I know. It's too good not to. All right, next category we've got. Does this movie get made now? All right, Eric, what do you think?
I say that I think it could get made. Like if they didn't make it back then, I think it could get made. And I think it could even be set in the same time period. So like at this point, it would be like a retro 80s thing going back to the 50s, that sort of thing. But I don't think it would be nearly as good because I think they would make, they would make they would make Marty be too okay with going back in time now, or like something super epic would happen and it would just take away from the authenticity of like Marty's freaked the fuck out because he's back in time and he's sitting directly beside his dad.
Yeah.
And I think it would just be too, 2024 movied. But I do think it could get made.
Yeah, I said something kind of similar to that, just a little roundabout or a little different way. I said thematically, if a going back in time movie always makes sense. I mean, they're always doing that. Again, Hot Tub Time Machine, silly stuff like that will get made. So I don't know if I disagree that it wouldn't get, or I do think it could get made. But I similar to what you said, I think it's so original that if it wasn't made in 1985, we might not have ever seen it. And again, they got denied so many times that it wasn't like they were trying and they still struggled to get it made.
Yeah.
So like, imagine now. So I just think that like the uniqueness of it, and again, this was original screenplay. Now we have a million movies that follow that same rubric. It's hard to say that it gets made the same way. So I could see it being either way, but I would say maybe not, just based on the uniqueness of this movie and the originality of it.
Yeah.
Daniel, what do you think?
I think we hit this a lot early on in the pod, and then we sort of have strayed away from it. But I think the interesting stuff is all happening on TV. It's hard for movies to be original, just come out as original movies, unless they've got like no budget. But TV is where you're having, the stuff that's, original is coming out on TV. Got like The Bear or whatever, a restaurant movie, a restaurant show, that's not going to be a big budget movie, but like the interesting stuff is just coming out on TV. So I think this would be a TV show if it got made today. Like if it wasn't made in 1985 and they still had the idea for Back to the Future and they were trying to get it sold, I think they would get it sold as like a 6-part, 8-part TV show on Netflix or HBO. They'd get the money. They'd be able to make it.
So do you think that like it would be the same overall story arc, or do you think it would be like tie all 3 movies into one series?
Well, if it wasn't made in 85, if they've still, I think it would be the same thing, but I think you'd get more, like the first episode might be, a little more based in 1985 than you get in the movie.
Yeah.
Then the end of the first episode is like him going back to 55. Okay. And like the cliffhanger is like, oh, he's in 1955. Yeah. And then, the second episode ends with him finding Doc. And then the third episode is him and Doc,
reminds me of,
hanging out and figuring out how they're going to get him back to the future. So I think it would be the same
first
story.
Movie. Okay.
I think it could be three seasons.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny you say that. Now that you're kind of talking about it, it reminds me of, what is that? The Umbrella Academy.
I was saying it could be 3 seasons because you could leave it on a cliffhanger at the end of the season that they're going to be going to the future.
Right. Because isn't it 5 who goes back in time?
Yeah, and then you're left on a cliffhanger that he goes back to.
Yeah, exactly.
60s.
It reminds me of the Umbrella Academy. Daniel, have you watched that?
Huh. That's Gerard. What? That's based on the Gerard Way comic, right?
My Chemical Romance guy. Holy shit, you haven't watched? Oh my god, it's so good. You would definitely like it. Anyways, I do agree. I think that's a good point. Kelly, what do you think?
Similar. I said yes, but it wouldn't be I think if we did it in 2024, it's like the 90s were not like that different, from 55 to 85 was such a different time period. Right. And like, it'd be like, cell phones and stuff were still like first happening and all that. It was just not that different. And
it's not. Yeah.
There's too much technology now that like even in the future it'd be like, we still have phones and we still have computers and everything. But like then it's like they didn't have that. So it was such a big jump and such a big like contrast between the time periods. So unless you'd have to do the same. Period. But I do like the TV show aspect of it because you could do more of a backstory on like the current
Jennifer.
Yeah, what's Jennifer like?
And I think you're like right that. On the nose. I think it's the culture that makes it so different. Like the technology between the 80s and the 50s. There was some differences, but there were still cars, there were still phones, there was still that, but it was the culture was so different.
Yeah.
The 80s was the greed is good, Reaganomics, war on drugs, all that stuff. And the 50s was like a more innocent time.
Wholesome.
Obviously the world has never been wholesome. So it's always just when you look back at the past, you were younger, so you didn't have the same awareness. Like I look back at the 90s and I'm like, oh yeah, I watching cartoons and all that. It's like, but the Gulf War was in the 90s, the Clinton impeachment. Like stuff was just as bad back then.
But you're right. The culture is definitely different.
If we would have watched Midnight in Paris, like, no, it's not spoiling anything because I think you should still watch it. But they are talking about how, like, everyone thinks that another time period is the best time period. Like,
Daniel would love that movie.
Yeah. Like, if you can find it, watch it. Because, they're like, the 20s were the best. And then there's somebody that currently lives in the 20s and they're like, no.
Yep.
Like, another time period was the best.
1880s.
Yeah. So it's like, you're always
Daniel would love that movie for that reason.
Yeah, I like that part of the movie in particular.
And
it's also a time travel movie.
I've talked about on here before.
I know you have. That's why
Matt and I have had arguments about the fact that, like, all time sucks. It's just you're more aware of it as you get older, where you, as a child, you weren't aware of it.
Yeah, and I think some people are more nostalgic than others.
Yeah, which is not me. I'm not a nostalgic
person. And I am.
Yeah.
Right. I get it.
Yeah.
For sure. Dave, last one. Anything else?
We're still on this question?
Yeah. Does this get made now? You got anything to add?
Oh, yeah. Aren't they making a new one right now with Tom Holland?
No.
Zemeckis won't let them.
They said they will never make another one as long as they're alive.
So I got tricked by the internet then.
Yeah. Zemeckis and Bob Gale have both come out and said, like,
no chance.
We will not license this movie.
Correct. Nice. And they have the rights to it. They own the rights to it.
There will be no remakes. There will be no sequels. There will be no prequels. We are leaving Back to the Future alone.
Man, that's awesome.
You got tricked.
That's cool.
Except for the musical.
I did get tricked.
Oh, well, the musical, it's not a movie. But I'm excited for that.
The internet tricked me.
You click on that phishing email again.
Okay, boomer.
I didn't do
okay, boomer.
I don't click on any emails in Outlook. Are you kidding me?
No, me neither. Don't trust anybody. Trust no one.
Yeah, you
don't even
trash.
Like even emails from my organization. No,
I'm not reading any emails.
All right, guys. How many do we have for this one? Favorite line from the movie? I was waiting for Daniel to put his hand up. Daniel, you, and then Kelly.
What are you looking at, butthead?
What are you looking at, butthead?
Nice. Kelly?
Can I say more than one? Or are we going around?
One first, because
round.
you don't want to steal it. Yeah, well, after the first round, it's fair game.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
Yeah.
The way he
my calculations are correct.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll go next, and I'll take the big one then. Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Now we're into it.
Dave?
If you're gonna build a time machine into a car, at least do it with some style.
Nice.
You're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
All right, Eric.
Look, there's a rhythmic ceremonial ritual coming up.
Look, there's a rhythmic ceremonial ritual coming up.
Nice.
I've got another one.
Yeah, go for it.
I ain't trying to mess with no reefer addicts.
Hey, listen, guys. Look, I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts, okay?
You mess with reefer addicts all the time.
I know, but I just love, you know me, I love saying reefer. It's so funny to me to call pot reefer because it's such a throwback term. And I think I got it from this movie, to be quite honest with you. I think I started saying reefer because he says, I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts.
Reefer addicts.
It's hilarious.
I had another one.
You guys aren't ready for that. Kids are gonna love it.
Kids are gonna love it.
Yes.
I had
Eric.
I'm George McFly. I'm your density.
That was one of my other ones.
Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah.
The way he says, like, I'm George McFly.
I'm your density.
I'm George McFly. I'm your density.
I mean,
Density.
and it's so close to working. She goes like,
Oh.
and then Marty's like,
You're right.
yes!
I'm the badass here.
Well, looky what we have here.
Well, looky what we have here.
Hello,
Dave, you use that
McFly.
quote like every day.
How often do we
Say hi to your
hello,
mom
McFly?
for me.
Yeah.
Say hi to your mom for me.
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
I thought that was going to be one of the first ones to go.
I know. I was kind of surprised it's still there on the board.
I
Put
actually-
your mind to
I
it.
actually
You
prefer
can
the line
accomplish
in
anything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Make like a tree and leave. You
I
sound
want
like
to
an
watch
idiot
all
when
of
you
them
say it that way.
again.
I had
Flux capacitor is fluxing.
Flux capacitor. Fluxing.
Cal.
yeah, when he has the model of the town, he goes, "Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build it or to build it to scale or paint it." And it's like this immaculate.
I didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it.
Oh,
It's such an amazing-
What about?
when he sees the fire too.
Oh, that's
it's
so
not
good.
a line, but he just oh!
Yeah. That is one of my favorite parts. And Christopher Lloyd after the Watchtower scene where he's just like, damn.
Damn.
Damn, damn.
Damn, where's that kid? Damn. Damn.
That's so good.
I figured, what the hell?
Well, I figured. What the hell?
When he tapes out
Yeah.
after he's been shot,
Yeah.
and he tapes
Yeah.
together the.
What about that
the note.
whole not messing with the
Oh.
future thing?
Oh yeah. I
think
got one that hasn't been taken. I'm surprised. Chuck, it's Marvin, your cousin.
Marvin
Barry. You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
Chuck, it's Marvin. Your cousin, Marvin Barry. You know that new sound you looking for? Well, listen to this.
Marty's got a catchphrase through most of the movie, and I love the play on it that they do with Doc back in the 50s. He's like, that
yeah.
sounds pretty heavy.
Oh
It
yes.
has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there's that word again.
There it
Heavy.
is.
Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in the future?
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
So
You
good.
said one the other night. He was talking to George or something. It was Jesus. It's a miracle I was ever born.
Oh yeah, that's such
He
a
like
good
can't
one.
flirt with her.
Rick was ever born.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I also love. Maybe you're adopted.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we were adopted.
I love Doc looking at the picture, and then he looks up at the camera like real intense. He goes, "Erased from existence."
Erased from existence.
So I guess with that, something that I had been called a lot as a kid in middle school from some of the teachers, of course, was "Great Scott."
Ah, yes.
Hey, Scott!
This movie, I think, invented that saying too. I don't think that was a thing.
So I don't think anything's gonna get mentioned about for me to throw my top 5 into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of the way.
All right.
And I've got.
Jinx.
All right, number 5 is Sonny's Phantom Punch and The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not extremely familiar with it, but I remember like him getting somebody's wife, right? And like he messes with his wife or something, and he goes and punches the guy. Number 4 is George punching Biff.
Nice.
Number 3 is when Rocky floors Drago and Rocky 4.
Nice.
Number 2 is Bob Barker laying out Happy Gilmore. And number 1 is the Welcome to Earth punch in Independence Day.
Oh my God, yes.
It's a pretty good list.
Yes.
Nice.
Well done.
Very nice. Good list. All right. So for this week, we are adding a new question, and we want to see what everybody thinks. This week, it's called The Most Rewatchable Scene. So we're still working on the name if we want it to be Rewatchable Scene or A-B Repeat, and we'll put that as a question maybe. But the way we're thinking of this question is that it's either something that you'd watch over and over again for whatever reasons, or for whatever reason. So, for instance, Happy Gilmore getting hit by a golf cart comes to mind because of the hilarious reaction Virginia Bennett has. Or if you were flipping through the channels and you saw the raptors in the kitchen in Jurassic Park, that might be your most rewatchable scene. And so I thought this would be a good category to maybe test out and see, because there's so many good scenes that sometimes we don't get to talk about. Yeah, so my example and my most rewatchable scene I thought of was when Michael J. Fox plays Johnny B. Good. And if I'm flipping through the channels and I see that they're playing Earth Angels, or Earth Angel, I know what's coming next, and I'm not changing the channel. And I might even rewind that because it's such a damn rewatchable scene. Yeah. That is probably my favorite scene. And it's so enjoyable. It's a good song. So that would be my most rewatchable scene.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. Daniel?
Biff, what the hell is that?
Yes. Dave?
A bolt of lightning.
What?
Just over and over again. A bolt of lightning.
It is a bolt of lightning. What did you say? A bolt of lightning.
1.21 gigawatt.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that comes.
Generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts.
That is a definite, rewatchable scene. Kelly?
I just said the whole Earth Angel scene, like where he's on the floor and then he, like, Lorraine gets taken away and you're like, no, and you like feel like he's gonna give up and then he just like,
nice,
no,
yeah. When he looks at
the way he springs up and starts playing.
That's
so good. Eric?
My most rewatchable scene was kind of what Daniel was talking about when Biff is running after Marty, and well, Dave said it earlier, the makeshift skateboard, and they're going all around the town.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And then he gets it to the kid.
Yeah.
So it's so good. Yeah, awesome. Well done.
Honorable mention to Biff getting knocked out.
Yes.
Because there's that tension, the like deep dun 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 dun, almost like Jaws music, as Biff has George's arm, and then he shoves down Lorraine, and George finds his nards and punches him right in the face. One-hitter quitter.
Dear God, you
see that would be
nards.
Great on
left-handed.
That would be great too. On AB Repeat. Also, honorable mention to the older couple that sees Marty McFly, and when
Are we
he
gonna say this?
Yeah, well, it's her face, her reaction, her face makes me laugh every time I watch that, and so Kelly and I have definitely gone down that path. We wound it. Kelly and I have definitely done the AB repeat on that scene. All right. Next category we've got most likely to be the off-screen drunk.
Now we're getting rid of
He's not here, but it's Kevin.
We're just gonna do both and see what happens.
That's fine.
Yeah, I would say my answer would be older Biff.
Yes. Me too.
So, regardless of Marty traveling back in time, he was still definitely a drinker. I mean, his dad was probably an asshole, and we know that his like great grandpa was definitely an asshole and a drinker. So I'm sure that there's some lineage here, and he's probably a family of alcoholics. I would say Biff.
I said Biff, but it's Kevin.
Timeline
Have
A.
anything other than Biff?
Timeline A.
Yeah.
Lorraine.
Oh
Yeah, original Lorraine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a terrible the makeup on her was a little sketchy.
Bro, the makeup on everybody. If you just looked at their neck, you knew that they had makeup on because it was just like a wrinkly mess right here.
Yeah, that's fair. Kelly, do you have somebody?
Biff, and then I just not like drunk, but I thought like Doc would just like be in his like with some like just chilling.
He's got to stop that brain from racing.
Yeah,
somehow.
so I don't think he'd be drunk, but just
Doc strikes me as a red wine guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he needs a little liquid courage.
In episode 3, Doc is such a lightweight that he takes one shot of alcohol.
Yes.
And passes right out.
That's right.
I bet that alcohol is some serious shit back in the day, though.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. It was probably straight alcohol. All right, next category we've got casting our friends. All right, guest of honor. Let's hear yours first, Gal.
All right, I did most people. All right, I said Marty would be Dave just because you have similar personalities and he can ride a skateboard.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I said Matt is Doc just because of like how calculated he is with everything, and just like he would be the one to make a time machine out of a car.
That's true.
Like, look what I did, and like get everybody on board with it.
Yeah.
I said George was Kevin because he gets made fun of a lot, and he's just kind of like, that's funny, guys. Like he just kind of goes along with it
until one day he punches us.
Yeah. I said Biff was Daniel, not because of the personality of Biff, but just because like you would be the one to be like saying like, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? And like just the little one-liners.
Yep.
I think. So not because you're mean, but just
listen, I probably would knock on Kevin's head and be like, hello, Kevin.
Yeah. All right, 2 more. I said Eric was either Strickland because he's bald or Goldie because you just are very positive and you have good goals.
I'm gonna go with Strickland.
Yeah, that's what I had in my final note. So. And then I said John was any of the guys in the band getting out of the car with the smoke coming out.
That one's so good. When she told me that, I was like, oh, that's gonna kill.
Yeah.
That's so good. Nice. Daniel?
Okay, I forgot to do this one, so we're going off the dome, baby.
Oh, you're right. Let's do it.
For George, I actually have me. And for Marty, I also have Dave. And the reason being is that Dave's cool as fuck. And Dave would try, like, takes me under his wing and, like, introduces me to his other friends and stuff. Like, when we used to go downtown every weekend, like, I met a lot of people through Dave because Dave's, like, a social butterfly, cool guy. And I'm like... Kevin's Biff because he punched me in the face one time and it hurt real bad.
Because he was the off-screen drunk.
Yeah. All those reasons.
Who's Doc?
Eric's Doc.
Oh, fuck.
Now that I think about it, Eric is Doc. Because Eric is the one who is tinkering all the time. Tinker, tinker, tinker.
Yeah.
He's building his little contraptions that make the music go different.
It's true.
I could see Eric being like, you know what? I'm going to make a mega amp. So it can be
and I'm going to put it on this flatbed truck and bungee someone with a double neck guitar spitting fire.
Sounds like an awesome plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else is there? I think that's it. I really came in unprepared for that one. I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Eric?
I had a few. So I said Matt was old Biff because I can very clearly remember him being super stoked about waxing his car at one point. Yeah. That's it. It's a very mundane thing, but that's what we got. I said Kelly, it was Marvin Berry because she's the only one of us who could actually sing well in front of people on stage.
That's a good answer.
Daniel is Doc because he's eccentric and he does and says crazy things that like people don't understand and they're like, why did you do that? Like,
that's hilarious.
Like when you try to light a fart on fire, no reason.
Or it's just hilarious.
Pretty much everything you say is just like, why is he saying that?
Yep.
I said Dave is Lorraine because of sex appeal.
He is sexy.
No, that's
I'm not a piece of meat.
Yes, you are. Shut up, meat.
Do you have a hope chest? Where's your hope chest?
And then I said Kevin is Lorraine's dad because I could hear him saying, another one of those damn kids ran in front of my car.
Wow, that's good.
And then the last one, I casted myself as Marty because rock and roll and guitar, and that's all I want to do.
Nice. That's a good answer. Nice.
Yep.
Dave?
Mm-hmm. I just had one, and it's because I feel like they look similar. I casted Cole Denton as Biff.
Damn, that's really good. That's really good. Old, and that's Biff after Back to the Future.
Yeah,
I mean after the movie happened, like now, what he does for you now. Yeah, B timeline. Still good. Oh boy. All right, so
maybe I should have left his last name out. Can you edit his last name?
Yeah.
No.
We'll put a beep. Beep.
I like that better. Yeah, beep it.
Matt, who'd you cast?
All right, I will. Yeah, so I hesitated casting Kelly as Lorraine. While she is a babe, it is scary to think that Cohen or Miles would be Marty in that scenario. But she is a babe, so I went with Kelly. I said that John was going to be Doc in 30 years. Because he's crazy.
He's not gonna invent anything that works.
No, he's gonna invent some new way to smoke weed.
Maybe
I think that's a different movie.
I think John
like the ultra gravity bong or something. He's going to come up with some new way that you get even more high.
John's going to be standing on his toilet and fall off and hit his head like Doc did, and that's what's going to come up.
That's why I casted him. You're right.
Mega gravity bong.
I had Daniel. Daniel, you casted yourself pretty well. I had Daniel as George McFly. He's a science nerd reading comics. Let's bring that into this. And he was also shy around the ladies.
and he wanted to stay home from the dance to watch a science fiction theater.
Yes.
Fucking nerd.
Which we one time did not go to a homecoming dance so that we could play video games.
Yeah, what'd we play? Halo?
I was included on that. Halo and Mario Kart.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Why would I? Yeah. Why would I stay home for that? Dave, of course, as we mentioned, I also had him as Marty McFly. I said, cool dude who rides a skateboard around. You're welcome, Dave.
Dave,
I had
have
Eric.
you ever hitched?
Oh, yeah.
It's called Skitch.
Skitch.
Oh, Skitch. Excuse me.
No.
Skitching a ride.
You got to try it. You just go up to a car and then you press triangle.
You just go up. I had Eric as Marvin Berry for the rock and roll part.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had Kevin as Strickland because he's always trying to enforce the rules.
Even 30 years before this.
You know he's the one telling those damn kids again, just like Eric mentioned. Also, didn't you cast him as or Lorraine's dad, right?
Yeah.
He also hit somebody with his car. Wonder if that'll happen soon.
I hope not.
Yeah.
And Kevin loves work so much that I bet he calls people at work slackers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Last two categories we've got, is this a podium role for any of the top billed cast members?
Yes.
So I think this is an easy one. Exactly. It's a yes. It's an astounding yes.
Across the board.
There's nobody that did not peak during this movie. So Michael J. Fox, as we mentioned, this is his biggest movie. Now, he did do a lot of TV. He actually has 5 or 6 Emmy Awards. Nice. For Best Actor or whatever. And from Family Ties, also Spin City was really big.
Yeah.
But movie-wise, he didn't really have a bunch. Teen Wolf actually came out the same year as this in 1985. He was in Doc Hollywood in 1991. That got a lot of critical acclaim. And he's also the voice of Chance in the Homeward Bound series. If you remember that.
Yeah.
Fuck those movies.
But I was a shout. Why?
Not happy.
What?
Well, they survived.
They're happier than Fox in the
Shadow lives.
Yeah, well,
Shadow
I know
lives.
that, but like, you give me a movie with dogs as the subject, and I'm not gonna have a good time.
The only other few to talk about here, obviously, is Christopher Lloyd. He's another guy that was bigger in TV than he was in movies. He was famously, or one of his most famous roles was him in Taxi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for us as kids, we got to see a lot of good Christopher Lloyd movies or roles. But again, if you kind of take out the kid point, as Daniel mentioned earlier, I don't know if they're that good of roles. I mean, he was He was in Dennis the Menace. He was he was the villain.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
He was that was actually he was very good.
He was terrifying
in that one.
Yeah,
he was very scary in that one. Also, Uncle Fester in the Addams Family movies. He was in Angels in the Outfield. I mean, he had a lot of movies, but again, nothing
touches this.
No,
this
it's
is
not even close. Yep. And then the other two are Leah Thompson and Crispin Glover. Now, Leah Thompson obviously is Marty's mom. So she actually was also in Dennis the Menace as the mom in that. So her and Christopher Lloyd were in that movie together. But she's not in much other than this for her. And Crispin Glover as George McFly also was in other things. Like he was in the movie Willard where he was the villain. And
he made a weird villain in Charlie's Angels.
And he was he's the creep or whatever they called him, the creeper or creep. But nothing to this level, obviously. Nothing even really talk about. I mean, I looked at Christopher Lloyd's IMDb, and if you want to have a good time or an hour long, it's insane how many things he's been in. But nothing compares to this. I mean, he was in Clue. He was Professor Plum, I believe.
Yeah. That's one that Julie said immediately when we were talking about.
I love him. I love him in that.
Other movies he's done.
Yeah, but again, he's one of 6 on 8 or whatever the ensemble is. So, yeah, nothing for anybody. This is the apex mountain for everybody.
Yes. Listen, you put Brad Pitt in this movie, and I'm still saying this is on his.
I know. I'm with you. No chance. Anybody. Yeah.
Put Jack Nicholson in here.
Yep.
Wait,
yep. Yeah. Anybody. Not the golfer. You're right.
Yeah. I always have to. I always do that. I'm like,
I know.
Which one is it? Okay, I said the right one.
Nice. All right. So this is our last category, and it will be. We finish with our podium list for the year 1985. Let's go with Dave first.
Yes. Is this not on anybody's top 5 or podium for 85?
You gotta wait. You gotta wait,
but you'll find out.
What's your top 3?
What's your top 3?
I didn't know you were gonna make me do this.
Oh my god!
It's not like we do it every fucking time. Episode.
All right, Eric.
Yes.
Does this movie podium on your top 3 list?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
We don't do this every episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you keep thinking that. Yes, it is on my top 3. It's on my podium.
It's on my top 3.
It's on my top 3. Okay, so number 3 is Better Off Dead, the John Cusack movie.
Yeah.
Number 2 is The Goonies. And then number 1 is Back to the Future.
Nice. Daniel?
Dave's just going to copy my answers.
Yes. Goonies, Rocky IV, Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I wonder where we're all going with these. Kelly?
I wanted to do, like I told you, I wanted to do a musical for this one, but the musical that was in 85 is a chorus line, which is thumbs down. So that did not make it. But I said The Goonies, Breakfast Club, and Back to the Future.
Nice.
Dave, you got him yet?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I can always go too.
Clues number 3.
Nice.
Back to the Future is number 2, and Goonies is number 1. Go to hell, Eric.
Wow. What a twist.
We don't do it every time. Yes, we do, Dave.
We do.
Oh,
all right.
I'm just giggling. I'm giggly over here.
So I said yes as well. Movies that we didn't mention that I just want to give a shout out to was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Came out in 1985. A great movie that Tim Burton kind of, started his career and really influential in a lot of ways for comedies now. We also had Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome for those who love their action movies. I ended up saying yes, of course. This made my list. I said Rocky IV, which is legitimately my favorite Rocky movie.
Me too.
Yeah. I really struggled between 2 and 1 here because we have actually recently watched both of these movies. And so I had to be realistic. And while I ended up going with The Goonies at number 2 and number 1, Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just think that Marty and Doc were perfect. If it wasn't for Marty and Doc, I think I could have gone with The Goonies because I might have a more fun time, but it's just not the same in terms of being a classic. So I ended up going with Back to the Future.
Listen,
good job,
I'll give Goonies all its flowers.
Hard.
Dude, I'll give Goonies all its flowers, but it is not on the same level as
I know. I know it was hard, but I agree with that. But we watched The Goonies lately, and Cohen, I think, liked The Goonies more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a kid, and it's The Goonies is more of a kids movie. Than
it is.
Back to the Future
it's more
is like
simple.
A family movie, but Goonies is much more of a kids movie.
It's more simple. It's an adventure from A to B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's one of the best. Thanks for tuning into our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platforms for clips, updates, and opportunities to vote on a movie we watch. Next week, we actually will be watching a movie live, or we will be doing a movie live. We'll be watching that movie, and we will be having you guys vote for that. So check that out. We're very excited for that, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
I'd like to thank Dave. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thank talent.
Bye, everybody.